Hey everyone, and welcome to the DTF1 podcast, where we are always down to Formula One. I'm your host, Andre. This is my co host, Trent, and this is the sound of my beer opening. Get-
Oh, it's only been about the eighth episode, and you've finally got a beer.
yeah, it's a
Good on you.
tiger. Just paying.
There's quite a few bellends this week, so it doesn't surprise me that you're wanting to get involved in the beer
Yeah,
train.
not wrong. Not wrong. Oh, but we don't start with that.
Anyway,
We end with that. So, what do we start with,
we
Mr.
do.
Harrison?
Well, we had Montreal,
Yes, we
so
did.
I hadn't been there for 3 years, and had to sweep the wildlife off the track. We also figured out that your la- last episode, you said there's a fox with big ears or something like that it drinks from its ears. It was all wrong,
Well,
everyone.
as I was saying it, I'm like, I might have this wrong. To my defense,
Yeah, and you
I
did.
did. So the fennec fox doesn't get moisture
Good
from
on you
its
for
ears.
trying.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. A
It
groundhog
does
got
have big ears, though.
Latifi murdered a groundhog in practice. That was a bit rough.
Well, it's better than the fence that he normally does.
I'd rather he hit a fence personally. I'd rather he hit a fence, but yeah, that was a bit rough. But they didn't. I only saw the onboard. I wouldn't want to see the TV cameras of that. It's probably in 6,000 pieces.
Yeah, depending on which part of it he hit. I don't want to think about it. It's
It looked
horrible.
like it was the middle of the car. Like it would have been
Anyway,
the nose cone or the front wing. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that was that.
we're probably glad he raced.
What's the
He didn't hit anything. He glad he didn't hit the fence. Anyway,
Montreal review?
so
Go on.
you saw on Thursday, was it Thursday? All the footage of the pit lane that was under about 2 meters of water. Did you see that?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. It was wild. There was
what a
like
nightmare!
a track sweeper driving through pit lane, and it was basically
Mm,
creating a wave pool. It
yeah,
was
I d- must the garages. I don't know how the garages must be angled out towards the edge of pit lane, because you imagine the water coming back in the garages.
yeah, that would be a
Like, it
problem.
would have wrecked all their equipment and
It
everything.
didn't know, did it? It just
Horrible.
sat in pit lane. So
No, I don't think so.
assume pit lane falls away from the garages, not toward. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty dumb. Yeah.
yeah, that's
So
correct. And then they get to Friday and it's dry. It's bone dry.
and then Saturday it was wet again, which was pretty good. It was a good
And Sunday was
qualifying
bone
session.
dry. It was.
Saturday, I didn't mind that.
What do you make of? I think a notable driver and all that was Mr. Alonso.
Yeah, definitely. I would have said Mick as well, Mr. Schumacher. I thought that was pretty impressive, getting Q3,
Hmm.
qualify third. But yeah, Alonso. I mean, I really wish he banged it on pole. I really, really that
Would have been
would have
cool.
been really cool. But it's just a good qualifying session all round. Really unpredictable. George, big balls, having a go on slicks, like pole or nothing.
You know what?
Yeah.
Who was I listening? I was listening to Jacques Villeneuve. He was talking on another podcast,
Here we
and
go.
that guy. He look, to be honest, he might gravitate after this. He might gravitate into my bell end of the week as well. He's one character. He's potentially going to qualify third or fourth. There's Why is he taking the risk to put slicks on? Like he doesn't have to. He shouldn't have.
Who said
And
that?
he
Jacques
just
or
tore
you?
shreds off him. Yeah, Jacques, not me. I at the time I thought, oh, hang on, this might be. Sometimes they make the best decision of their life, and I thought this is the one, but it just didn't quite work out for him, sadly.
Yeah, but it was kind of like a win-win. Like worst case, you're into Q3. Worst case, you can be 10th. Worst case, well, I guess you could stick it in the fence. But worst case, you could be 10th. Best
Hmm.
case, you bang it on pole.
I
Like,
think the
why not?
risk was too high.
Mm.
I think the risk of damaging the car was a bit too high, in my opinion. I mean, I loved the idea, but then I was like, well, maybe not. Maybe it was a bit silly.
Good on him for having a crack.
Didn't work out. Anyway, he had to go. He had to go. He ended up eighth, I think, in the end. So
Yeah, whatever it was. I mean,
it's not unrespectable.
kind of irrelevant. It was a pole or nothing move, and like whatever 7th, 8th, 10th, like it's not pole, so whatever.
He kind of, let's look at the rest of the results. We've got Zhou Yu snuck his way into 10th as well. Q3 again ahead of Bottas again.
Not bad.
Considerably too. 6 tenths in the wet. that it's probably 4 or 5 times the amount of gap is normal because such a small mistake equals such a big time difference. Ocon absolutely hosed by Alonso, well and truly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and it's weird because
like a second and a half.
he's up on Alonso in the championship standings. Like, you could look at the points. Like, if you weren't watching races, you were just watching points, you'd be like, "Oh, Alonso's being outclassed," but it's not. I think Ocon's gotten lucky, Alonso's gotten unlucky, and this qualifying session just showed probably, I think, where they're actually at, like raw speed, raw talent wise, and that the old
I
fella's
think you're
still got
right.
it, right?
Well, I think he put his haters to bed.
Mm.
I know a few people are like, "Oh, he's past it. They should give a young guy, like put Piastri in the car and whatever."
I agree,
Oh, I
just I
think he
wouldn't be
put all that to
replacing
bed.
Alonso.
Oh, yeah, and I agree with you. I think they need to use him as a bit of a coach for the young man. But I think you'll find that Albon will coach him a little bit next year in the Williams.
Mm.
We're expecting probably an announcement this weekend. Um, we haven't got to the British Grand Prix yet. We're still going through Montreal, but
Mm.
yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the race. It was dry.
Yeah, I see a lot of people raving about what a grand race it was, and I don't know. I thought it was a bit
You're
dull.
unsure.
It was a bit dull. Like, in terms of, there's a bit of action further back, but Max just dropped what lights to flag. Like, it's not, it was a nothing race. Uh, I mean, the safety car
Hmm.
spiced it up a bit, but Charles coming through the field was interesting. But all in all, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting spoilt by these races earlier in the season where there's been battles for the lead and wheel banging and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought, lights to flag. How can you call it a great Grand Prix? But it wasn't bad.
I didn't. I said to you I didn't mind it, and
Mm.
then you're like, "No, no, I fell asleep." I was like, "Oh, I didn't think it was that bad," but that the safety cars, the virtual safety cars, spiced it up. I thought, "Oh, finally, Lewis has got some luck on his side with the VSC at the start," and then you know what? I find George Russell the luckiest human being. I find that every 50-50 situation seems to fall his way.
Mm.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but do you agree?
Well, through this
All
year
these
so
little
far.
things,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm. Yeah, for
And
sure.
he's doing a remarkable job, and that stuff's falling his way. Whereas Lewis obviously has had, you know, they're not pitting him at the right time. He's had this and that
Mm.
go on, and then he's finally had a decent race, and he was right there.
Not to Yeah, I agree. I agree. Not to be harsh to Carlos, but do you reckon if that was Charles behind Max on a fresh new sticky set of booties, that race result would have been different?
You're gonna ask me this, putting me in a tough situation here. Yes,
Yeah, I reckon Charles could have maybe got the
I
move
think he would
done.
have won. Saying that, he couldn't even pass Ocon because of the straight line speed. What chance did he have against the Red Bull? Honestly.
Yeah, yeah, true, maybe. I just think Science got real close a couple of times. And I think just that little,
So I
that
watched it.
1 or 2% that Charles got on him might have been enough to get
Yeah,
the move done. Maybe.
maybe. I watched because people talked about why didn't they pit him? He lost 3 seconds. He didn't pit in the first VSC and he held onto those tires for so long,
Mm,
and then they come to the second one, and he did all this extra work to try and jump the three cars in front of him, but then they had a 3 second long pit stop.
yeah.
So they I think it was Jolie and Palmer reran um, if it didn't have the 3 second pit stop, he would have come out ahead of that group,
Yep.
but he wouldn't have been any further up the road in terms of position because he was still too far away from George. So it wouldn't have affected him. He still would have ended up fifth,
Right.
but he probably had slightly better tires.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I think they would have been maybe they said fifth's a good day, but
I think from the
that car, like you saw what Lewis did, I mean,
from the back of the grid,
I'm not
fifth a good
sure.
day. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a bad day. Like, you
No,
can end
if
up
that's your
out of,
worst day,
yeah, you can end up out of the points easily if a few things don't go your way, have a couple of clumsy mistakes. So it's not a bad day, but yeah, look, realistically in that car, where would you, with Perez out, what's a good day? Getting on the podium? Uh,
probably.
hmm.
Yeah. Sergio, a gearbox problem.
Yeah, yeah.
We think the Ferraris are
Talk
bad.
about things going one teammate's way and not the other. Like Max, same thing. Like mechanical failures and whatnot. I know it's not that. It's pretty early in the season. I'm more speaking now about across a career. Um, Certainly less stuff seems to go wrong there than on the other car. Generally speaking.
What are you trying to say?
Hmm?
Are you trying to say they're favouring number one
Oh, I
driver?
don't think I'm trying to say that. I'm thinking maybe he's got a little fucking, I don't know, kissed on the dick by a fairy a bit, by like
Oh,
I haven't said that saying in a while.
he's got the golden handshake a few times.
uh yeah, but
I know what you
much
mean.
like
I
what
know what you
Russell
mean.
appears to have, but maybe not.
Saying that,
I don't know.
Max did have 2 DNFs towards the start of the year at
Yeah,
Bahrain
true. So maybe it's level
and Melbourne.
across the season so far.
Level.
Hmm.
Speaking of Checo, did you see him bush bashing his way back
No, no,
in qualifying when he
I
crashed?
heard about
They made
this.
him walk back through the around the side of the wall through these like a jungle, and the camera was following him. It was quite funny.
No, because
You would have loved
I
it.
watched a replay. So in Singapore here, they don't have on demand like we have in Australia on KO, like on an app. Like you have to watch it on your set top box thing, and it's not on demand. It's like the session's obviously on when the session is on live, and then the replay is on it whenever they decide to schedule it. So like 9 o'clock the
Oh,
next morning or whatever. So I watched the replay at the time. You had to watch it, and then they cut all that out. So in the replay, they obviously cut
oh,
out what they deem to be boring bits. It's not a full replay. So Checo calls the red flag, stuck it in the fence, and then it like there's this really abrupt cut, and then all of a sudden
oh!
they're rolling back out pit lane again after the red flag. So no, I didn't see his Jumanji adventure. No.
It was funny. It was good. Um, it just pegs him back to reality, doesn't it? You've been the car, now you got to walk through the jungle to get your way back.
probably
Anyway,
probably stepped in a puddle of mud or something just to rub it in.
what else happened? You see on Friday, Mercedes tried a radical new change on Lewis's car, and it was a very late change too. They cut like a good keyboard size chunk out of the left and right back side of the floor,
Whoa.
and you can see it was done dodgy because they've got tape on it, and it's not. They must have had a spare floor, and they've just cut it
Bit
in,
of bush
and it
mechanics.
didn't work. Lewis hated it.
Right. The
So
they also apparently tried an extra stay. So in the rules, apparently you're
yes,
only allowed one stay holding the floor. Now with this technical directive to reduce porpoising, FIA are talking about allowing a second stay. So they threw a second stay on, and apparently that didn't work either. Is that right? Am I getting that right?
I think so. There's so much that happens that and that's the other thing. We're a week and a half behind past that now.
Hmm.
It's all gone. You know, they're talking about bringing new upgrades for this weekend, which we'll get onto.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like they've made a step.
Hmm. I think so. I mean,
We'll
Lewis
find
was
out.
on the podium on raw pace. You would have to say.
True.
Like that
Yep.
wasn't a Bahrain situation where two cars DNF in the last two laps and you get a podium out of attrition. That was sheer pace.
Mm.
So yeah, I think
He
it's
looked like he could hang on for a little as
mm,
well. Like every time there was he was right on them. He was able to hang on for like, yeah, he was sort of just dropping a little
mm,
bit, but he was able to hang on for 5 or 6 laps, and not traditionally he'd be gone.
mm, mm. Yeah,
So
yeah. I think they're getting there. Silverstone will be
I think so.
interesting. So I know we're not onto that yet, but yeah, I think that'll show what that car's got. But
One of
I'm
his favorite
I'm
tracks.
jumping ahead.
Shall we talk about who we tipped?
Oh, shall we? Yeah, I don't even remember. Oh, you got it there.
I
All
do.
right. So what
I
what was
do.
the
I
what was the
do.
actual results? We had Max,
Actual results. So,
Carlos,
yep. So we had
Hamilton, Russell,
George
Shell.
and Leclerc.
Yep. All right.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Who you
Oh,
reading
these are mine
first?
first.
Yours.
These are mine
Okay.
first.
Okay.
Okay. So I had Checo, Max, Carlos, Charles, and Brussels.
Mm, eh. What do I have?
Respectable. Here we go.
I put Charles for the
You
win,
had
didn't I?
you put Charles, then Max, Checo, Lewis,
Oh,
and then Russell.
so I think I got none right.
No, neither did I.
So
No,
did
no.
no. So who was closest? If you take Charles out of
Well,
mine,
I had Max and Carlos.
you had Max Carlos 1,
Uh
2. You just had him as 2,
you
3,
had
right?
you had Max, Checo, Lewis. So yeah, I definitely won that
Shit.
every day of the
What's
week.
that? 3 to 1?
Yeah, yeah, 3-1.
Oh, I gotta
Yeah,
stop.
good
I
job.
gotta stop backing my Monegasque boy. Oh,
Well, I think I don't know. All right, shall we talk championship standings real
go
quick
on.
whilst we're on it after that race?
Yep.
So Max has really crept out.
Where are we now? Round 8, round 9. What was that?
That was that was round 9. So
Oh,
we're up
so
to round
nearly
10.
halfway through the championship. Jeez,
Yeah,
that's
23 races.
snuck up on us. Okay, so almost halfway through the championship update. Right, go. Max has snuck out. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just done the old. See ya. Um, he's at 175 to Sergio's 129.
My lord, that's a big gap.
Obviously, yeah, obviously Checo got no points for that.
Yeah.
Um, then you've got Charles at 126. So he's only 3 points behind Sergio.
It's not bad considering the
Then you got
78
George at 111.
DNFs he's had. Yeah, go on.
Mr. Fourth is fourth.
Yep.
Um, and then Carlos and Lewis is just hanging on by his teeth.
How many?
Sixth.
What's he on?
He's on 77, so he's 98 points behind Max.
Yeah.
Be
Okay.
horrific, wouldn't it?
That's
That'd be a bad feeling.
That's rough.
That's not ideal. Anyway, that's where that's at, and you can tell that clearly Red Bull are walking away with the constructors as well.
So the FIA probably didn't need to gift Max the championship last year. Could have just waited to this year. He would have won it genuinely. Bit harsh. Yeah.
Oh, Christian, if you're listening,
I don't
sorry.
think he's listening, mate. I'll be honest. I did
He
see
will one
Max.
day.
They were asking Max in some point over the Montreal weekend. They were, for some reason, someone asked him about social media, and there's a lot of flogs on social media, but also it has there's a power of social media to educate flogs essentially. What do you
Yep.
think? And his answer was kind of like, yeah, maybe, but also some people just are full of hate and have nothing good going on in their lives, and they take it out on people online. Like, can you educate that type of person?
Well, it's true.
I was like, fuck, it's actually a pretty good answer.
Yeah. Not going to say what I was going to say about Max then. I'll refrain.
Okay. Okay.
So, one thing I want to mention is about the
Is this beer can
aero
small
testing.
or have I grown?
What size? How many mils
I
is it?
don't know. I'm trying to look at that right now.
Is it in English?
Yeah, it's in English. Where is I can't. Sorry, everyone.
On the
Just bear
front.
with us while we sort this little conundrum out.
Trying to figure out if your hands have grown.
320
or the
mil.
can shrunk.
Yeah, so it's slightly smaller.
Yeah, that's small because I've got 375.
Yeah, there we go. I'm not a giant. Okay.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
So the aero testing regulations. So here's something interesting. So it's a highly complex situation, but Mercedes are at 28 wind tunnel and CFD runs per week.
Is what they're
versus
allowed.
What they're allowed at the moment. That resets on June 30, so tomorrow. Whereas that's because of their performance last year.
So the current
Whereas
allotment,
Williams,
the current allotment's based on last year's constructors championship finish,
correct.
right? So Williams have the most,
then
Mercedes have the least, and everyone else somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And in comparison, Williams are at 46 runs a week.
Geez, that's a lot. A lot more.
Mm, that's 18 more runs per
And
week.
now,
That's almost, uh, there's Mercedes probably are now looking at, all right, we need to start splitting those runs between this year's car, next year's car. Whereas Williams can almost run Mercedes' entire budget on both.
one on each. When it
Mm.
resets, I don't know how this works. I hope you do, or this is going to be a very, very boring segment. When it
Oh, I knew you got me
when it
here.
resets now on June 30, July 1, whatever, what is that reset based on? Where they're at in the
I think it's
championship,
based on
eh,
current championship. Yep.
current championship order.
Yep. So
Okay,
Williams just remains the same forever.
so Red Bull goes to having the least. Williams keeps having the most.
Yep.
Gets
So
a
it's
bit back.
70%. So the leader gets 70% of the runs. So it's I think it was 40 runs per week. They get
Who
70%
gets
of that.
100% of the run? Somewhere midfield.
I think it's about fifth.
Yeah, and then
And
you.
Williams get 115.
Yeah, right. It's actually not a bad
So
idea.
they're saying, yeah, I think initially, so the first 2 years probably won't bring the field closer together. But when you go 3, 4 years down the path,
Mm.
it's going to, that'll catch up to it. So hopefully we'll see closer fields. Anyway,
That's cool.
sort of ran off the beaten track there.
I like that.
Apologize.
Yeah, that's all right.
Um, I think it's time to creep into the British
Ho,
GP
ho, ho. Yep.
in what, 3 days from time of recording.
So, a year ago,
Very good.
last British Grand Prix was the first Grand Prix where we had fans back. It was like packed,
Yes.
absolutely packed. Like a lot of countries were still in lockdowns and stuff, and they had like bloody 300,000 people there or something. I was like, fucking hell! All right, these guys have just given up on COVID, red hot.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Mm.
So no doubt, I assume it'll be a sellout again this year. It'll be packed again this year. It should be good.
Yeah.
Last year, last year was also a pretty contentious one with the Max Lewis incident. If we'd say that, we've never talked about that because we weren't doing this last year. Should we talk about that just briefly before we talk about this year?
It's a racing incident. It's pretty simple.
Well, I think I couldn't agree more. I
We've got to
mean,
leave it at that.
if you look at just that corner, like you ignore the context of the season so far, you ignore the context of the whole rest of the first lap, what had already transpired. You look at just that corner, you could maybe lean towards Lewis slightly. But when you take into account the context of the first lap, where Lewis has had two other moves on him that were on, and Max has just run him out of road or shut the door on him, when you consider that has just happened, I think the move was
Yeah.
well on, because Max can't expect Lewis to back out of every single move because Max is just super aggressive. You got to know that at some point the other bloke's going to go, enough's enough. I'm sick of this. I'm fucking going in here and I'm staying in here. And that's what happened.
Do you think it looked like a 3/4 move? That's the only thing. So I would say, okay, Lewis was thereabouts, right? He was nearly up at the front wheel. But then Max, I mean, that corner's flat, I think, in qualifying trim. It looked like Max just creeped maybe a car length later when he lifted versus Lewis, and Lewis pulled out a little bit, and it was just enough.
I
Whereas Lewis didn't. Like, if Max was on the inside, I feel he would have been more committed. I don't know.
probably, and they probably would have had a much bigger shunt together.
They both would have gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think Lewis was far enough up the inside to have deserved room,
True. Yeah, I agree.
and I
Yep.
don't think he really got it. I think Max kind of turned in as if no one was there. To a point,
Yeah, I think definitely racing. There was too much blame on Max, too much blame on Lewis. That's where in a racing incident they call, okay, we can't. It's not a 60% him, 40% him.
Yeah.
It's like
especially when
exactly what we're debating about.
especially when
Yeah.
you take into account what had happened earlier on that lap. Like you got to
Yep.
know that a racing driver like Lewis is going to be like, okay, I've been muscled out of the way borderline once. I've been muscled out of the way
Mm.
borderline in a very borderline way twice. no thanks on number 3. I'm going to put the car here and fucking you make your own decisions, bucko.
And that's fair.
Mm,
I would have done the same.
mm. Yeah,
Anyway,
enough's enough. But anyway, that's not
what
how
do
the
we got?
stewards
What,
saw it. They gave him a penalty. He served the penalty and he still won the race. So
standard.
good on him.
What have we got any interesting facts
Oh, gee, I didn't do
about
my
the country?
homework. Do you?
No.
Oh, it lasted 1 week doing that. I'm going to Google something
I do
quickly.
know that there's been 70 British Grand Prix. It's
That's a lot.
a lot, yeah. And I think this one is the 59th. And Lewis has won the last 7 of 9.
Bullshit. Has he won his home Grand Prix that often?
Yeah.
What?
It's just a foregone conclusion.
Most people hope to win their home Grand Prix once in their life. Paul Charles could barely
Yeah.
finish his home Grand Prix.
He finished 4th. Yeah, he's won it 8 times, but 7 of the last 9. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
He is,
ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
and they say they've been talking about during the week that Mercedes are taking form into this track. They've won the last 9 or whatever, 7 of 9, and well, you're forgetting it's a whole new car. Like they've
Yeah.
won every other race.
Yeah.
They're not. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a silly thing to
Yeah. It's
associate.
it's
Yeah, okay,
irrelevant.
they've got history, but
Mm.
I don't know.
Oh,
And to be fair, George went really well there last year in the Williams too. He got
that's
into
right.
Q3.
He was yeah.
And the fans loved it.
The crowd got right behind him. It was good to see.
So he's obviously, in with that track. So it might be all right.
All right, I've done my
Might be
homework.
alright.
I've done my homework like literally during class when the teachers just asked for it. So here's some facts about England.
Yeah, go.
Highest point in England is Scafell Pike. Apologies, any English folk listening if I'm pronouncing things wrong. At 978 meters high, that is not very high. It's the highest point in England. That's like, yeah, okay. That's
Isn't that the same in Australia though?
no Mount Kosciuszko's
Kosciuszko.
taller than that, I think.
Barely though.
Anyway, I thought we had pitiful mountains, but that's not even a mountain, is it? That's a hill.
Cute when you're standing beside Everest at 8Ks.
Highest waterfall. I'm just reading random stuff out. Cauldron Snout. There you go. Which is 60 meters high.
Sounds like that Harry Potter.
It does a little bit. It does. Tallest building is 1 Canada Square Canary Wharf. Far out words today. Canary Wharf in London at 245 meters tall. And there's 3 because I came with none.
Because you're really good.
Yep, cool.
No, I like this track, to be honest. They did a big renovation on it. It's very we always talk about here in Australia, we've got a couple of tracks that we call European tracks. You've heard of it, where they're big, open, fast flowing. That is, to me, Silverstone is the traditional European race circuit. That and Spa. Big, fast flowing corners.
Yep.
Um,
It's cool.
I think it'll suit the Ferrari.
You reckon?
Yep.
I thought it'd just suit mega downforce Red Bull. Personally,
No, Ferrari's the downforce car, remember?
mm,
Red Bull's the grunt.
Red
The
Bull is
machine.
slipperier in a straight line, and well, yeah, I don't know if it's horsepower or just less drag, but yes, they are better in a straight line. But I thought I didn't think the Ferrari was just out and out downforce though. I thought it was more like mechanical grip and
Drag. Well, yes, they saying it's got a lot of drive.
and drive. That's the other thing I was about to say. Yeah.
Whereas Montreal's the drive wasn't there at Montreal apparently
Mm.
that they're used to. So
We'll see. I think it'll be close. It's not an out and out. I don't think it's out and out horsepower track. Like, yeah, it's got long straights, but there's enough fast flowing
Definitely
corners.
aero.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
you'd say Mercedes might.
If it's smooth, if it's a smooth track, I think Mercedes are on. Like on. Like Barcelona.
They're on.
Barcelona on, I reckon.
Win on.
Like there or thereabouts, maybe.
Oh well. On that note, let's get straight into our tips.
All right. Jeez.
Go on. All
Me
right,
first?
Here we go. Lewis, George. I've done it for you.
I'm gonna go. Shit. Nah, I'm still backing my boy Charles
Charles. All
Lewis.
right. Yep.
Charles Lewis, Max, George, Carlos.
Oh, all right.
We're on air this week. 5 from 5. I can feel it.
5 from 5.
5 from
That's a
5.
big call.
I
All right,
tinged
I've
the
got.
mic with my tiny can. I apologise.
You did a cheers to that, didn't you?
I didn't mean to, but yeah, I did. Oh, that didn't.
I've got. I've.
Sorry, go.
It's not.
Sorry, go.
I've got. I've got Carlos at the win,
Okay.
followed by Charles.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause Charles is going to have to lose fifth gear on the 24th lap.
Okay.
Then I've got Max. Then I've got Russell and Checo. Lewis is going to. He's going to have. Uh, he's going to have an issue with his floor, and he's going to have a mechanical DNF.
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
Not really sure where any of that came from
Great.
that I just spoke about.
Sounds good.
I predicted the race.
What else?
I think I took a real risk, to be honest. That was. I like it though.
Do you
I
think
like a
there's
good
going to be
risk.
much
I like it.
passing? I think with these cars, they'll be able
No.
to follow through Maggots, Beckett's, that kind of stuff better. But are there going to be much passing?
Well, there's not many big stops,
No, that's, yeah.
and that's traditionally where they're passing. So I don't know. Let's have a look at the DRS zones really quickly. So
What's the corner? What's the corner Shui had his shunt where he broke his legs? Is that Stowe?
that was the old layout though, but that
Yeah,
corner
that
still
corner still
exists.
exists.
That's where there
It's after the
is a speed
fast
trap.
left, right, left, right, left, right, and then they go down. I think it's Hanger straight, and then it's the next corner. I think it's Stowe, right?
Yeah, not turn 15 or something. Yep.
Stowe corner. Yeah, it's Stowe.
Is that a DRS zone?
Yeah, that's at the end of a DRS zone. So there could be some moves into there. It's not a big break, but if you've had a good enough run on DRS, it doesn't matter because you'll already be next to them.
And it's quite a late, like a late break and turn through there. So yeah, you might be right. And then the other one is out of that first sort of complex running down. I think is that the Hanger Straight?
No, I think this one up to Stowe's the Hanger straight. I
Hanger
know the
Straight,
one
right,
you're
gotcha.
talking about though. I know the old.
It goes under the bridge.
I still know the old track better than the new track, which is pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd love to go there one day and have a look at it.
yeah,
It'd be pretty cool.
yeah, proper cool.
But I don't know. No passing. I don't think. I think might be a little bit here and there, but I think it'll be very late. You know, extra late dive bombs.
Yeah,
From what I might be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking.
be good. Cool
What
track.
upgrades have you heard of? Have you heard of any upgrades?
Yeah, apparently Mercedes have got something tasty.
Their front wing apparently is 4 to 5 kilos lighter.
Oof, that's not bad.
Do you want to explain how that's possible?
It's a lot of weight to take out of something. Does that include the nose box? I don't see how you could take. I thought the thing would probably only weigh 10 kilos. So you can't. How do you take
Crazy.
50% out of that? Yeah. So I was listening to something with. I think it was with Shove. That's Lewis's engineer, right? Was that?
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, apparently they got something tasty, pretty tasty coming. Looks good. Looks fast. If it's it could be on. He reckons.
They've obviously saved it for the their home Grand.
Well, yeah,
Two Boys
I
home
think
Grand
it's when
Prix.
a lot of teams are bringing upgrades. Like I think Williams have got a decent package to put on the car. They've pretty much had nothing all year, so it's like first major set of upgrades.
It probably means too that they can bring the upgrade quite late because it's so close to their home. They can develop the upgrade right until the till crunch time.
Make it no shipping time. Well, it's really only shipping time they're saving though, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a couple of days, and a couple of days in development terms is a lot.
True.
So
True.
I, I, I think they, 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 I think they Yeah, I don't know. How do you get? I'm just running through the 5 kilos in my head. I don't know how it's
That's a
possible.
lot. That's so much. Um,
But
yeah,
sure, they don't mean 400 or 500 grams.
I think it'd be an interesting Grand Prix. I don't know. I don't know how much I back my tips, but I think it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. I hope Max gets booed by the British fans the same way Lewis gets booed by the Dutch fans, and
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it?
yeah, um,
He will do.
and then we got to go back to last year again, and then he was carrying on, and then Max was carrying on like Lewis is celebrating while I'm in hospital. What a pig of a bloke. Lewis asked on the radio, "Is he okay?" And the team said, "Yeah,"
Mm. And Max was fine.
and Max was
He
fine.
was a bit shaken up, obviously, hit the wall at 250
But like
kilometers an hour.
the
But
bloke said, "Is he all right?" His team said, "Yeah." Like, why wouldn't he celebrate?
it's all for TV.
Anyway,
It's just all for attention. It's led by Christian Horner, I think, or Doctor Uncle Helmet,
or
our favorite
Yoss.
human being of this podcast. Yes. Oh, we're not segueing into those blokes yet. They're not until Bell ends, which is next anyway. Have you heard of any other upgrades? I think it's too early to tell because they have the Friday. What do you call it? The Fridays uh, show and tell they call it, which is really cool.
That is really cool. But they have to wheel it out pit lane, and yeah, it's really really cool, really cool.
Show everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is good,
but
but
we'll see.
I don't. That's not until Friday. I saw a couple of other things, but we're not really going to know until
Well, the stopwatch,
crunch time.
yeah, I mean, the stopwatch will tell whether they're good upgrades or bad upgrades anyway. So, yeah, we'll find out.
We'll see if they can cut another hole in the floor
Uh,
like Mercedes did at
Get the
Montreal.
hacksaw out, the hacksaw and the race tape. Oh no, we've got to go back to Montreal. Sorry, I missed something important, real important. Yuki,
Okay.
Yuki shunting on his way out of the pit lane.
Oh.
Oh, Yuki.
So again, Jolyon Palmer was talking about it, and he's pulled up the data of Stroll, who was 5 seconds ahead of him, who came out of the pits before him,
Yeah,
and then he put the data of Yuki over it,
yeah.
and he was at the same point of braking. The Yuki was 20 kilometers an hour faster, and then he braked like 40 meters after Lance. He was he was never going to make it.
I'm not laughing at him, to be clear. Oh, this is when I'm laughing. This is not at him because obviously wildly talented, far better race driver than I could ever dream to be. I'm just laughing at the situation. Like he reminds me. So I'm not going to name who, but he reminds me a lot of someone I know. You know.
And he just gets out the car and goes,
Oh well.
I've crashed again. And gets out. And just unplugs his radio like that's it. It's
even
like, oh,
even on drive to even on drive to survive, his comfort level in talking in front of cameras about him needing to do a poo and then coming out and giving an update on how that poo was, it all of it, and just pushing like way beyond the limit when you didn't really need to. It reminds me a lot of someone we both know we won't name,
yeah.
but that's why I laugh too. Is because it's like, oh, mate, he's like
It's
he's like the
just
Japanese
loose humor.
version of he who we won't
Who we
name.
know. There's it kind of reminds me a little of Ricardo.
What? Oh,
Sort
the
of. Ricardo's just
looseness.
yeah. Yeah, not necessarily their personality, but just the things he comes out with, you wonder whether they're all there, you know?
Yeah.
We were talking about this the other
In the
day
politest possible
when
way,
Ricardo's going
in an
21,
endearing way.
21, 21, 21, 21, 20, 21, 21. It's like, what are you, an emu?
uh,
Oh, anyway.
it's funny.
Let's get on to your favorite segment.
Bell end of the
It's the
week.
bell end of the week time. Now, I think this is going to be long
I got a lot this
because
week. I'm gonna level with you.
there's been a lot that's happened in the last week and a half. So
That
let's kick it right off with Jury Vips.
Yuri Vips.
Shall you
I don't actually.
shall you tell us what happened? Or do you
I
know?
don't actually know what exactly was said, but he was he was gaming, streaming
Gaming.
while he was gaming. He said something quite inappropriate and racist. Red Bull suspended him, and just today, just before we recorded this, Red Bull have put out an announcement to say we've concluded our
Terminated.
investigation and he's terminated. See you later. So I don't actually know what was said. I think like a lot of the news reports don't put the full sentence or the word that was used, which I think is probably the right thing to do. Like, there's no way, probably no reason to share every horrible, gory detail of the horrible, inappropriate thing that was said. So I don't actually know what was said. I just know it was racist, and he's gone. Career over, I would say.
You know what's funny? There would have
Mm.
been his mum or his dad or someone would have been saying, "I don't think you should stream that. I don't think you should stream your games to everybody." Well, you're not wrong, you know. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
not a
what,
funny
but he was
situation. I
playing
mean,
Call of Duty,
oh, was it
and
COD? He wasn't
Call of
racing.
Duty, yeah, no, he was playing COD, and
Okay.
he was apparently very. I don't know the words he said, but you know, I don't think you've played it that much, but I have, and you get mighty angry,
At
right? And
at someone
people
like
like you and I would easily get our careers done. Like
not
it
that.
wouldn't even
Well, no, I
be
wouldn't be saying.
wouldn't even be a question.
I'd be saying plenty of F's and C's, but I don't think I'd be saying what I believe he said. I know I wouldn't be
Yeah.
saying what
Well,
he
it depends
said.
what he said. We don't
Uh,
really know
yeah.
anyway.
Um, yeah.
Tell me
If
you're
your
either
career would
gone.
be
See you
over from
later.
F bombs
Goodbye.
and C bombs, I'd have a problem. Yeah, you're right. But
You've been pretty tame, to be fair.
on here,
Anyway, I think, yeah, you've been pretty good.
yeah. So, did he direct it at someone, or was he just saying? Not that it makes it any better, but was
Yeah,
he
the guy
just
who killed
saying it
him.
like it was at someone who killed him? Is that what you're
I
saying?
think so.
Right.
Yeah. I don't. Well, no one really knows, but I reckon he had that. There was a thing running around that he had the last laugh. Like he's like, "Oh, you're gonna say that about me? I'm gonna ruin your career,"
Well, he certainly,
and he did.
yeah,
He
yeah.
got the last laugh, didn't he? I don't
Then,
know. No one really knows.
then someone who should know a fucking lot better up the ante, and decided to be a fucking racist fuck as well.
He- Up to the ante.
Up
I
the ante
like
on
it.
the racism, yeah. Nelson Piquet Senior.
Mm.
Oof. How? Like, I'm not excusing Yuri Vips at all. It's not what I'm trying to say here. But you can kind of like in the heat of fucking gaming or whatever, or the heat of battle, like something slipping out. Not saying it slipped out. Um,
You
that's one
can.
thing.
I know what you're
That's
saying.
one thing.
Mm.
Nelson Piquet Senior in a totally chill, premeditated interview drops something wildly racist and inappropriate. Like that's another level again. That's like one could. I'm not saying it was. Could have been heat of the moment. Fuck. Whoops. I shouldn't have said that. I don't know. Could have though. Whereas sitting down for an interview and just having a chin wag and going, "This is an appropriate thing to say," blah. That's fucking another level of stupid and fucking what?
Oh, it's hate to say it, but it's typical of that group of people. There's Nelson Piquet, Jos Verstappen, and Dr. Helmut Marko. They're all mates. They're all capable of a similar thing.
Well, they're all different
They're
things,
all
but they're
that
all
bad.
equal
Yeah,
um,
I
level
think
of undesirable. Like, yeah. Uh,
Nelson took it to a whole new extreme.
and then I don't know if this is the same interview or not, but this has just come out now too. And then he's joking about
Oh, this is my bell end.
Senna
This, yeah,
dying.
yeah, yeah. This is him. Yeah. He goes, "Who was better, Senna or you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm not dead." That's
Fucking hell, Nelson. Are you for
why
real?
would you say that?
And then
Is he
the other
just got a
thing,
sense of humor that no one understands? Clearly.
the other thing he said was racist, and it was about the Max Lewis clash at Silverstone last year, and he essentially said the not calling Lewis by his name. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Just put his car where it shouldn't have been, or something to that effect. But obviously, using the worst possible word you could use. The good thing is, if there's a good thing, I don't know if that's the right way to put it. The good thing is that everyone's come out backing Lewis.
Except Red
Like,
Bull.
well, haven't they?
That
Well,
was
they
Red Bull
sacked
before.
Vip, so they're probably like, "Oh, I've done my bit. against racists for the week. I don't need to say anything
Yeah.
about that. No, I don't know. They might have, they might not have. But like Dan, I saw Dan did a story about it. Heaps of people posting about it. Mercedes obviously have their own drivers back. Yeah, I just it shows that
You know,
for someone to sit back in an interview, cool, calm, collected, not the heat of the moment, to think that that's an appropriate thing to say to a journalist with a camera rolling. That just shows that like that person, or maybe that age bracket or demographic, I don't know, that's generalizing far too much, but that person just doesn't get it. You can't
mm.
you can't get it. You can't get that that is wildly inappropriate, but then still say that. He just must not get it.
But back in his day, that was when he raced it. That wouldn't have mattered. He would have said
Well,
something like that. And
and
like, look at
that,
James Hunt. You can't tell me that that guy would have been a straight shooter.
yeah,
Nicky
and
Lauda as well. Back in his day, like things have changed. I get that,
yeah, but
and
move
I'm
with
not
the
defending
times.
him because it's
Like
ridiculous. Yeah,
you
yeah, I
he's
agree.
he's probably got an iPhone that he didn't used to as well, and he figured out how that works. So just figure out, like, read the room, mate. Like, figure out where
Mm.
fucking society's gone. It wouldn't have been appropriate back then, first of all, but I understand what you're saying. Um,
It wouldn't have been blown out. That's what I'm saying.
Probably not. Um, but still, fucking read the room, mate. Move with the times, for God's
No,
sake.
I
I
agree.
understand that's wildly, like, Jesus.
Crazy. You just reminded me of two other guys that really
Oh yeah, I got more bellends too,
got
by
under
the
my
way. But
skin.
yeah, go on. Yeah, what do you got?
Oh dear. Jackie Stewart and David Coulthard. Damon Hill. Hang on, which one was it? It was definitely Jackie
No, it was
Stewart.
DC. You told me.
You,
You text me that it was DC.
DC, yep.
Fun fact.
They
So, what did
just
they say? Lewis should retire.
Mhm.
In what context? Like, it's to leave because he's already peaked, and he should have left. He should have left at his
Well,
peak, or
as you
what?
said, as you said, you think Jackie Stewart's obviously going a bit senile because he said he should what
Resign.
was the word? Resign. Like a not retire, resign.
He
It's
should
like,
resign.
come on.
Oh, Jackie.
Anyway.
Um,
And then David DC said virtually the same thing.
Fun fact about
Guys,
DC
like
and Jackie Stewart. You want to know a fun fact about them?
go.
So Jackie Stewart and David Coulthard have the same number of world championships combined as Jackie Stewart.
Because DC never won one. Oh no. You said that to me the other day and it went straight over. Now I get it. And
Uh,
he's got half as many as Lewis.
yeah, less than half, doesn't he?
So how can they comment?
Three?
Or whatever it
He
is.
won three,
Jackie's
didn't
got 3, has
he?
he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lewis has got a casual 7.
Well, they can comment. I mean, we're commenting about things right now as well. Like, but I think there's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like um, we're having a chin mag about what we thought of things, and they're,
True.
I don't know, trying to
Say what they think of
criticize
things. And
criticize a
that
7-time world champion. Tell him he should have retired.
guy's pretty good at what he does,
Mm.
you know?
Mm.
Anyway. But go on now. Now you said you've got a few bell ends. I'm keen to hear it.
So obviously those two racists, the biggest ones, that takes the cake. But that's not how this segment started. This segment started as like dumb comments we see online. So
Mm.
one that I saw was so Lewis threw Ange in the river next to the track there because she'd made a bet with him. It was like, if you get on the podium, I'll swim in the river. And she didn't want to go, so he pushed her in or something to that effect. And this, I saw this post on LinkedIn, so it was a photo of that happening. And then some bloke jumps on there and he comments, he's like something to the effect of, if that is the river in Montreal, and I believe it is, okay, mate, well done. If that is the river in Montreal, and I believe it is, that is the last capitals, all capitals, the last place that I'd be jumping in for a swim. And I was just like, I couldn't help myself. I commented. I don't usually, because arguing with people on the internet is pointless. But this one, I
It's a
couldn't
waste
help
of
myself.
space.
I commented, I'm like, really? That is the last river you would ever jump in. Of all the rivers on earth, if you had to jump in, this one would be the last, would it? All capitals. Um, uh, And then he replied, he's like, "Oh yeah, no, it probably wouldn't be the last." Why are you making such
He
ridiculous?
actually replied.
Yeah, he replied.
Oh,
He
no.
replied. He's like, "Yeah,
Well,
no, you're
he
right.
got what he wanted, your
No,
attention.
you're right. It
Oh.
probably wouldn't be the last." Like, no shit, mate. Ugh, that is the
You
last
probably wouldn't
place on
dive in a
earth.
river of
Montreal
wouldn't go
or
in a river of crocodiles.
yeah, Montreal or jumping in with crocodiles in a river in the Northern Territory of Australia or the Ganges in India. Nah, I'd take that. I'd take them before Montreal. Yeah, righto,
I'll
mate.
take old yeah.
And then he's obviously back, realised he's exaggerated like a bloody twat and
He's ran
backtracked.
backwards really
Backtrack.
fast.
And there's been more. It's been a fortnight of bell ends, and honestly can't remember them. There's been that many. Do you have any more? In the original spirit of the
I've got your
segment?
one, but I want you to tell the story when George's car was catching on fire at Goodwood.
Yeah, okay. So Goodwood Festival of Speed. Fucking hell. George was queuing up
That is an
for a
amazing
run.
event. We should talk about that
We
as
probably
well one
should at
day.
some point.
That's really cool.
So
Really
it's a
cool.
hill. Oh my god, my brain's not working. What are they called when you go up a hill?
Hill climb.
Hill climb. Thank you. Far out. So it's point to
You got
point.
half of it.
It's not a lap. It's point A to point B up a hill. It's called a hill climb. Thank you,
Yep.
Trent.
Yep.
George was queuing up for his run of the hill climb in last year's car, last year's F1 car,
Yep.
and it starts to
Pretty good
smoke.
one.
It starts, and this was so funny because I know this exact type of person because there's one at every fucking racetrack. The car starts to smoke, engine out of the engine cover. They tell him to cut the engine. The marshals immediately come over with a fire extinguisher pointed at the car, which was probably a little bit premature, right? Like you don't go blast foam all over a car unless you're sure you need to. But they weren't
Mm-hmm.
rushing and like about to do it. They hadn't even pulled the pin out of the fire extinguisher. They just kind of wandered over and were keeping an eye on it. This bloke, I don't know, how old do you look? 50, 55, 60?
Mm-hmm.
In a race suit. So he's obviously one of the other hill
In that
climb
range.
competitors. He's come over. He's come over and he starts telling the marshals what to do, right? He's like, there's no audio on this. You can just hear cars, but it's filmed by a fan from the stands, essentially. He comes over. He's like shooing the marshals away. He's like, no. Like, just don't spray it with foam unless you don't need to, which is a valid point. And then he's like, and then he starts like blowing on the engine cover. He's like,
And he touches it.
and he touches the engine cover, and then it's obviously the paint burning or something because that then makes it worse. And then George's team, like they come running down. So the team are now there. The fire marshals are there. This bloke is just a punter, best I can tell. I don't know, maybe someone I should know who he is, but I don't. This bloke, he's then telling the team what to do and telling the fire marshals what to do as well. And then he grabs the fire extinguisher off the fire marshal after spending the last like 2 minutes telling the fire marshal not to spray the car. He then grabs the extinguisher off the fire marshal, pulls the pin, and sprays the
And
car.
uses it.
And the team
Oh,
have
can we?
arrived. The team have arrived with those blowers. You know those blowers that they connect to like the brake
And he
duct.
grabbed one.
Yeah, that's right. Before he blew the fire extinguisher, he grabbed a blower off a fucking Mercedes Formula One
Team
team
member.
member and starts fucking blowing it, which then I think
Oh,
made it worse because obviously if there's fire and you add
fire and air
fire and air
makes it worse.
makes bigger fire. So then he grabbed. We'll have to find the clip and put it over this as we're talking about it. Like you just be able to. Anyway, he then grabs the fire extinguisher off the fire marshal and wants to do his job for him too. It's just the funniest thing. And do you know what I mean when I say there's always one at every racetrack?
Oh, always.
Like
There's always someone who thinks that he's above the officials,
a bloke.
and he's like, "I know everything." And then he'll come up and say, "Hey, you drove really well then, but you should have done this." Okay, and what have you ever done? That's the same guy. He's probably telling after that. He's probably telling George how good Lewis is,
Oh,
and George is like, "Well, I know.
I think at some point he
I'm a
told
level."
George what to do through this whole sequence. You got to find it and overlay it over this when
I
we're
think
talking
you're right.
about this on YouTube. I'm pretty sure he like
He walks up and
he shooed George away, or
ducks his head in the car.
he told
Yeah.
George to do something. Like fucking hell, mate! Just let the team do their job and let the fire marshals do their job for Christ's sake.
And
There's
like
always
telling him to
one.
turn it off.
It's
It's
always.
a Formula One car, guys. It's a highly complex piece of machinery. I don't think you can just turn the thing off.
Ugh.
Like, I think there's a whole procedure to switching the car off. It's like, cut it out. Yeah, okay. I don't think he can. But
Anyway,
anyway,
he's probably someone really important, and we've just offended. But anyway, geez, I'll tell you what, watching that,
I'll have a look before I add this.
watching that 7 minutes unfold on YouTube was like, ugh, fucking. All right, add it to the list, boys. Bell end of the week.
Chuck it on Netflix.
oh,
Oh, what else have we got? Have
y-
we got time for Under Pressure?
oh,
Is there anyone under pressure? I think Mick sort of answered his critics a little.
Mick did. I think
He got
Mick.
unlucky in the race, to be fair.
I think Stroll still should should be under pressure. Probably not going to
Yeah, but
be.
he got a point. He got a point. He
Mm,
got 10th, so he did all right. I think I was. You know what? After you told me that, you said that, oh, he's under pressure and whatever, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to dive into it a little bit more.
mm.
And I had a bit of a listen to some other people, and they spoke about some of the bad luck he's had with this and that happening. And I don't think it's all, I think he's doing a decent job. It's just he hasn't had the luck go his way. Likewise with Vettel. So
Someone,
maybe not.
yeah, someone else. I can't remember
Um,
who it was talking about this the other day, but like the difference between them is like last year. I think they were pretty similar in points or something like that. But like Vettel's highs were way higher than you
mm,
know what I mean. On his day, Vettel is a level above. On not his
mhm.
day, they're similar. I think it's probably a fair assessment
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
I'd say um, Carlos is still under pressure, I think.
I would say so.
I don't. Yes, he got a second. Okay, he's probably answered them on that race. But I
I think
just
they
don't
would
think he's
know
doing
he
enough.
could have won that race, should have won that race. Fresh
Yeah, I
tires.
just don't think he's doing enough.
Mm. But not,
Maybe I'm wrong.
not under pressure in the sense like going to lose his drive next year. But definitely feeling the pressure for sure. Latifi, I think
Yeah.
definitely.
I think again this week's
Poor
British Grand
fella.
Prix, I read a lot of information about Oscar Piastri,
Hmm.
uh, who we will no doubt back pretty heavily because he's an Aussie kid.
Mm.
Um, I used to watch him. This is really weird. When I was racing karts a few years ago, he was in juniors.
What? Wow.
When I was just doing karts on the weekend. So I was racing cars as I do, and I was just doing karts at club day karting, and he was racing in juniors. I watched him and another guy race, and really impressive. He was doing club days karting, and now he's a Formula One driver.
What's his
Crazy.
backstory? Wealthy family, or like how do you get through all the feeder categories? Do you know?
Yeah. So he's dad owns a company called, I think it's called HP Tuners. He owns the Australian part of it.
Right.
You'll see it on his race suits and
Yeah, I've
everything.
seen it on car. Yeah.
I think they're relatively wealthy, yeah, and he went overseas pretty quick.
Mm.
He was karting here naturally, and he went overseas pretty quick, and he won consecutively 3 years in a row. Bang, 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 done. And
It's a
now
way to
he's
do it. It's a way to do it. I
unbelievable.
think if you want to get to F1, it's the way to do it for an Aussie. Get out of there.
Mm,
Get out of there
I agree.
ASAP.
I agree.
Mm.
Which, going on to the young guys, this is one thing that we spoke about. Wouldn't mind. We'll try and touch on a few young guys here and there from feeder categories because we think they deserve a bit of cred for what they're doing, and who knows, we might be able to spot a young guy early and watch him go through and admire them for what they've done.
Mm. Yuri Vips, is that
Maybe
who you're
even
talking
help them.
about?
No,
I shouldn't laugh. It's probably inappropriate to laugh. I apologize.
he was very good too. That's sad. He was a very good driver.
Mm.
Nothing we can do about it.
Mm.
What else have you got to add for me?
I got nothing. I got nothing there. Do we have any other segments? We're at an hour. Oof. This is probably a good time to wrap it unless we got anything else.
Oh,
Oh,
there's always something else to talk about. Oh, okay, here we go.
quick talk about F1 2022. F1
Oh,
22.
yes.
Whatever the game's
Don't
called.
even start.
Don't even start. Oh, you've got a bit of a sad. Anyway, all right. You can explain how you're downloading the preview test early access version went in a minute. But for now, I'm talking. Um, so as we agreed, you'd be doing it on wheel and pedals and in a proper sim and doing it proper. Probably I would expect at 100% AI difficulty or 110% AI difficulty and all the assists off. I'm going to just have a crack at it like a punter on controller on the PlayStation. So I got not early access. Yeah, I got like an early not the early release because I bought the championship edition, but the like when you're a member of EA Plus or whatever it's called, you get like a trial version. So not full
Oh,
early access, but a trial version. Anyway, just downloaded that before recording this. Had a few races. All the content wasn't downloaded yet, so I didn't have access to all the cars, all the teams, all the tracks. But I did a few races around Bahrain, little 5 lap races. Really, really impressive. The graphics are
mm,
next level in all the like when like gamers and stuff, even the F1 drivers were trying it around Miami. I think it was around Miami when they did the first release,
yeah, yeah.
teaser
Was
release.
Miami, yeah.
I wasn't that impressed with the looks of it from what I'd seen there because they all the teams had the same car body, and it was that steamer pile of a display car from last year.
Ah,
And I was like,
yep.
it
I
doesn't
didn't
look,
even notice that.
yeah, it doesn't look that good. And they had the right liveries on and blah blah blah, but I was like, it doesn't look that good. Now they've got the proper card model, shape, everything
Oh,
for all
yep.
teams, and they look incredible, really good. Like the Ferraris, that kind of satin finish, that matte finish.
Mhm.
The Merc looks really cool. That like silvery chromy look, and they're all unique. Like the Merc has its like delete side pods edition, and the
Zero
Ferrari's
side
got
pod,
those
yeah.
interesting pods with the kind of the gills down the side, and it looks really cool. Quite fun to drive. I was doing it with a little bit of traction control on because I'm playing on controller. A little bit of traction control on like medium AI difficulty, like nothing too hard. It was good. It was
Yep.
fun. It was fun to
Mm.
drive. It's challenging. Like you can't get on the gas too hard, otherwise you lose the back. It's fun to manage the battery. Really fun to manage the battery. Like how much of that can you use? How going to recharge, etc., etc. Um, Good racing. DRS obviously it adds a fun element to playing strategy with that. It was at Bahrain, so doing the old let someone lead into turn one,
Super
so
late
so
lunge.
so you can have
Yeah.
the DRS for that second straight. It was really really fun. It was
Yep.
really like I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'll up the AI difficulty as we go because probably a tad easy because I was winning more or less straight away, but it was really good fun. Did a race in the drive, did a race in the wet. Wet was really cool. I'm actually really, really impressed. Really, really impressed. How'd you go with it, Trent?
Well, I think we're about that's what we're at an hour and 2 minutes. We're about done for today. Yeah.
So,
It wasn't a same experience.
so context
So,
here is Trent's got a sick simulator, right? Amazing wheel, amazing pedals, 3 monitors, so it kind of wrap around like really big field of view. All the ducks nuts gear. How did F122 perform on that setup?
well, it didn't work. It was stuck on the middle screen. I couldn't get it onto the 3 screens because it didn't support NVIDIA Surround. Oh, I need hours to get it working.
to get it,
The hard thing for a simulator, hard thing for a steering wheel, pedals, and a simulator, like what I'm used to,
yeah.
I go from a game called iRacing, which you're very familiar with. Max races at Lando races at George. Every Formula One guy, every driver in the world uses iRacing. It is realistic. It's very difficult for someone like me or them even to go to an arcade based game, i.e., F122, in their simulator
Hmm.
and enjoy it. You enjoy it for the fun side of it, and obviously the graphical side of it is probably a lot better than an iRacing, but
The
the driving
graphics are
aspect,
incredible.
yeah,
How arcadey
from
do you
my
think it
thinking,
is?
massively.
Really?
Yep, definitely.
I
But
haven't driven an F1 car, so I
I
couldn't tell
think
you.
it's yeah, but it's very the it's just the in a simulator on a controller it's okay. But you probably wouldn't really notice it when you're in a simulator with a proper wheel and pedals. It's just not the same.
Well, it's fun on a controller, I'll tell you that. Like, really fun.
But I will enjoy it when I can get it working.
I don't understand how wheel and pedals can not work. They're just a fucking, it's just a input through a USB. Like, how can it not
Trying
recognize
to
that?
razz me up.
No, I'm not coming to go at you. But I know you're tech savvy enough to know if something doesn't work, if
No,
something's not working.
I don't know if it's this where a day before, 2 days before it's being released. I don't know if this is the full whack version,
I
and
get that your
there might
dash,
be some
I get
small issues. Yeah,
I get
Yeah,
that your
where it's not
dash thing wouldn't
working.
work, right? Because you've got your 6 steering wheel and your dash
That'll
there,
work.
and that dash is I know it works with input from iRacing, so it will show on the
Mm,
screen whatever the dash is of the car that you're actually in. The shift lights will
yep.
work at the right revs that each shift light should come on. I get that that might not work with F122 because they might not have thought of building, I guess, output signals for that, but whatever the technical jargon for that would be. But wheel, pedals, turn left, turn right, shift up, shift down,
I got the wheel working. I got
go
all that. That was fine.
go stop on the
I
pedals.
I couldn't get the pedals working in the end, and then I noticed and I couldn't get the screens working, but I think I can get it to I can certainly get the screens to work, I think. The
Hmm,
pedals I'm just unsure of. Because then I switched it off and I thought I'll just jump on iRacing, see if it's working.
yeah.
No problem, it's working fine. So it's
Pedals are the
related to
same
that
input.
game.
Pedals are the same input as the wheel, though, aren't they?
It's the most basic pedal. I think I don't know.
There's a
Maybe it's
fucking
joining it's recognizing the steering wheel and pedals is plugged together because like you buy a Logitech steering wheel and they're plugged together
they are.
and they go through the computer in
There's
one
only one
input.
USB input. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if it's recognized them as separate inputs.
Well, hopefully
Anyway,
you can get it going, mate. Because it's a
hopefully
fun
for the
game.
next race at Austria, after the British Grand Prix, I'll have it sorted.
And you'll do a lap. You'll talk us through a lap.
I'll do a lap and I'll
Bloody
show you why I could have been a Formula One driver.
beautiful. And failing that, I'll do a lap on me controller.
or most tracks are on iRacing anyway, so I can do it on that. Worst case, and there's
Yeah,
that
true.
last year's Merc Formula One car as well.
It's not the same. On iRacing.
It's not Formula. Yeah,
Last year's Merc is on
yeah.
iRacing
Or
now.
sorry, 2 years ago or something like that. Yeah,
Bullshit, really?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how
It's
long I
cool.
haven't been on iRacing for.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, very good. All right, that's probably enough. We've been
Anyway,
gibbering quite a bit. You're going to have a bit of a hard time editing the video for YouTube, which is probably a good point to plug that we're putting these also on YouTube. You can see our pretty
mm,
faces. And things like where appropriate and where we can and where we have the right to, we'll put whatever we're talking about over the top at times,
yep.
if it will add value. But you're going to have a bit of a problem editing this for YouTube because my camera stopped twice during this.
No,
So
really?
it's going to be all out of sync. You'll figure it out. Like
Oh,
as soon as
will
I
I?
noticed it
Yeah,
was
cool.
off, I turned it back on record. But there's going to be gaps that you'll just have to,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know, put a little sad dog. You know that off The Simpsons. You know when TV there's no signal on The Simpsons and they put that cute little dog that has the power cord in its mouth. Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyway,
Yeah, I'll
when
put him on.
you put him on when mine's cut out, and then what else was I going to say? I'm going to have to figure out how to hard power it or something because I don't want it to do that. It wasn't
No, you
battery
don't.
that died though. It said maximum recording length reached. So maybe that's a camera setting I need to
Maybe that's
turn
a
off.
setting.
Do you know anyone good
Very
with?
good.
Do you know anyone good with cameras or video that could help
Oh
me
God,
out?
I know. There's a mate of mine who runs this company who does that sort of thing. Maybe I'll get in contact with him.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
yeah. He
Yeah.
knows who he is.
Of all
All right.
people, I'm not good on the techie. I like to point and film things and make sure they're in focus, which they usually are sometimes. But
I'd laugh if your footage isn't in
is
focus.
it in focus? No, I'm pretty confident it is.
That
My
would be
shot looks nice,
classic.
actually. I put some lights
Does it?
behind me. You probably can't see them on this screen that we're talking on. But there's two lights behind me that are in the DTF
They're
one.
reflecting under here.
Yeah, in the DTF one yellow. They're RGB
Oh,
lights, so
really?
you can adjust the color. Yes, there's two little
Oh, that's cool.
in our yellow back there. Give this
Oh, grouse.
shot a bit of
I can see it
character.
now.
Yeah, looks
Yeah.
cool, right? You see them? And
Mm.
then, geez, we're waffling. And then I look good actually. I look pretty good. My eyes are sparkly. It's a nice shot. Probably could have done with a shave. All right, we've lost everyone on the podcast. This part's only gonna make sense on the on the
On
video
the
on the
video.
YouTube on the so we'll call it there. You want to say bye to
Thanks,
everyone, Trent?
everyone. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening. Hopefully, my results, my tips for the British Grand Prix are bang on. I'm sure they will be. I've been 3 out of 4 times correct this year. So,
Yeah, 3-1. I better get one back. All right, enjoy the British
good.
Grand Prix, everyone. See
See you
ya.
later.